The U.S. Air Force remains by far the most powerful and versatile air arm in the world today. Its pilots fly a wide range of combat aircraft, from fighters and strategic bombers to tank busters and the latest stealth attack aircraft. Established after World War II as an independent entity in 1947, the Air Force was in the front line of the Cold War for more than 4 decades. Embodied in its 3 major air commands, strategic, tactical, and military airlift, the U.S. Air Force and its aircraft were dedicated to deterring the Soviet Union. They were ready to fight if necessary, and in the process, they were deployed to counter the perceived communist threat around the world. For decades, the U.S. Air Force was split into 3 main structures, or air commands: strategic, tactical, and military airlift. Strategic Air Command's primary task was to deter the Soviet Union by wielding the big stick, or the threat of massive nuclear retaliation. It flew heavy bombers and manned intercontinental ballistic missile silos. Its support force flew tankers and strategic reconnaissance aircraft. The doctrine of MAD, mutually assured destruction, acted as a sufficient deterrent to ensure that no one side would win in a nuclear exchange. MAD has arguably kept the peace for nearly 5 decades. As its name implies, Tactical Air Command was responsible for air combat at a tactical level, and it managed the Air Force's fighters and attack aircraft. The cargo aircraft of Military Airlift Command were responsible for supporting both SAC and TAC operations worldwide. The 3 commands were often involved in internecine rivalries over resources and priorities. Designed for a conflict between 2 superpower blocs, they were deemed to be too rigid to deal with the new world order of the 1990s. At the heart of the new Expeditionary Air Force is Air Combat Command, ACC, which incorporates all of the aircraft likely to get into the line of fire. These include fighters, bombers, electronic warfare aircraft, and tactical transports. Air Mobility Command, AMC, is its counterpart and controls tankers and heavy lift or strategic transports. Other commands deal with training, space, and special operations. The main administrative unit of the Air Force is the wing, which can have up to 10 squadrons. In the past, combat wings have usually been centered on one primary aircraft type, such as a fighter, attack aircraft, or bomber, with a number of supporting squadrons. The idea of composite wings incorporating a variety of aircraft types is hardly new. U.S. Navy carrier aircraft have been formed into air wings for many years. The 23rd Wing is the U.S. Air Force's first battlefield support composite wing. Located at Pope Air Force Base in North Carolina, it's known as the Flying Tigers and flies three main types of aircraft: the F-16 multi-role fighter, the OA-10 attack aircraft, and C-130 Hercules transport. The 23rd Wing's primary mission is to support Army units, in particular the 82nd Airborne Division, which is based at Fort Bragg. When these are deployed, it provides aerial firepower and intra-theater logistical support. The 23rd Wing's A-10s provide forward air control as well as close air support. This is an OA-10 FAC aircraft, FAC, which differs only in designation and mission from a regular A-10 tank buster. Its task is to mark targets for attack aircraft, using 70mm rockets tipped with Willie Pete or white phosphorus warheads that produce a large white cloud on impact. The Warthog also carries a PAVE penny pod. Mounted on a short pylon below the cockpit, this detects spots from laser designators and displays them on the pilot's HUD. Friendly scout helicopters and ground teams can paint enemy positions with their laser designators to help ensure positive target identification. The A-10 is an excellent close air support aircraft with its ability to stay on station for long periods and high accuracy with both bombs and its awesome 30mm cannon. Moreover, the A-10 has its own onboard engine starting system, a definite advantage when it is deployed to austere forward airfields. Tasked primarily with supporting the 82nd Airborne Division, the Hercules transports of the 23rd Wing therefore have an important role. They carry out the normal range of airlift support, supplying ground units through air, land, and air drop operations, as well as conducting extensive paradropping missions. Soon after the 23rd Wing was activated, Air Combat Command formed a second Battlefield Support Composite Wing at Moody Air Force Base in Georgia. The 347th Wing has a similar mix of aircraft types to the 23rd Wing at Pope and is teamed with the U.S. Army's 24th Mechanized Infantry Division. Air Force wings are also based at key locations around the world, in Europe and the Pacific. Other composite units include two based in Alaska. These are the 3rd Wing with F-15C Eagle interceptors, F-15E strike jets, C-130s, and E-3 AWACS, and the 354th Fighter Wing with its F-16s and OA-10s. They're based in Alaska to facilitate rapid deployment to the key Pacific Rim area. In Europe, the 52nd Fighter Wing at Spangdahlem in Germany and the 48th Fighter Wing in England also fly a mix of air superiority and multi-role or ground attack fighters. Based at RAF Lockheath in southern England, The 48th Wing flies exclusively F-15 Eagle interceptors and F-15E Strike Eagle attack aircraft. Together with the F-16s of the 31st Fighter Wing at Aviano in Italy, these wings are ideally positioned for operations in Eastern Europe and the Middle East. They continue to contribute materially to NATO's peacekeeping operations in the former Yugoslavia. Traditional single aircraft type wings also have an expeditionary role, notably the 1st Fighter Wing at Langley in Virginia with its 3 F-15 fighter squadrons, and the 4th Wing at Seymour Johnson in North Carolina, which has 4 squadrons of F-15Es. Fighter Wing, in particular, is ready to deploy worldwide at a moment's notice. It was the first American unit sent to the Middle East after the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait in July of 1990. Desert Storm showed that superior pilot training, refined by ultra-realistic exercises such as Red Flag, gave the coalition pilots a definite combat edge. Along with F-15s from the 33rd and 36th Fighter Wings, the Eagles of the 1st Fighter Wing shot down 34 of the 41 Iraqi aircraft down during the war. What Desert Storm also showed was the way that possible future wars may be fought. No longer confined to massive superpower confrontations, such limited or low-intensity conflicts would bring together a coalition of U.S. and allied air forces, each flying different types of aircraft, but integrated into one cohesive fighting unit. Established in 1992 as an air interdiction composite wing, the 366th is the only Air Force unit which can be directly tasked by the national command authorities, bypassing the normal chain of command. Almost an Air Force within an Air Force, the gunfighters are ready to deploy at short notice to fight in any part of the globe, with half of the airlift support of more conventionally structured combat wings. They are expected to fight unsupported for a week and to continue operations for a further 20 days once a supply bridge is in place. The exercises of the gunfighters regularly involve all of the wing's aircraft types to maximize coordination between the disparate forces under the commander's control. The vice commander, himself an F-15E pilot, gives a rundown of the variety of aircraft owned by the wing.
My name is Jerry Callan. I'm the vice commander here at the 366th Wing, the gunfighters here at Mountain Home. I've been here for 2.5 years. I'm flying the F-15E right now, and my flying experience up to this point has been a variety of different aircraft, about 5,000 hours of flying time, most of that training. Right now we have a variety of aircraft that are stationed here at Mountain Home, the KC-135 tankers, the F-16Cs, the F-15Cs, and the F-15Es. We also have a part of our wing, the B-1s, which are stationed at Ellsworth.
The wing, therefore, wields enormous firepower in the form of a balanced mix of heavy bombers, strike fighters, fighter bombers, air defense fighters, tankers, and other support aircraft. The 366th was the first such Air Force unit to have all the assets required to conduct interdiction operations under one roof.
What we really mean by that is integrating a number of different aircraft with different strengths and capabilities and putting them together to take advantage of each other's strengths to accomplish a mission in a combat situation. Primarily what when we train, we're working just with our own assets. We'll be augmented from time to time with EF-111s, which is stationed down at Cannon. Also, occasionally, when we have the opportunity to work with the E-3 AWACS to help us with our command and control. The advantage we have of bringing all our aircraft together here at one location and being able to take advantage of each specific aircraft capabilities and having them work together on a daily basis really contributes to taking the different players of an organization and really making it a team out of it that is really important when we go into a combat situation. Just like an orchestra that has the different instruments, they can play solo, but when you put them together, they can combine for a magical sound. I think the theory behind composite wing training is we understand that when we go to a combat situation, just as we've seen from the history of air power involved in conflict, and particularly most recently with Vietnam and Desert Storm, which is most memorable in our recent history. But we understand that when we go to combat, it won't be just one type of airplane conducting the warfare. There will be a variety of different types all coming together. And the theory here is if we can do that on a routine basis, almost a daily basis, do that time and time again together, that when we go into combat, we will have already been trained like we will fight. We won't have to learn a lot of the lessons that we've learned in history in combat. We can learn them in our training from day to day.
Long-range precision strike and interdiction are the main missions of the F-15E Strike Eagle. The two-seater was developed from the single-seat F-15 fighter, so it retains the Eagle's formidable air-to-air capabilities. Key to the Strike Eagle's impressive attack performance are the twinned lantern pods which hang down from the intakes. Coupled to the sophisticated APG-70 radar, these allow it to fly and navigate over long distances at low altitude and in all weather, acquire targets, and deliver precision-guided weapons with great accuracy. The F-16s of the 366th Wing are truly multi-role. They fly wild weasel or defense suppression, interdiction, close air support, and air defense missions, being tasked with whatever mission is more urgent. In the close air support and battlefield air interdiction roles, they frequently carry cluster munitions which can disperse hundreds of smaller sub-munitions. These are particularly effective against area targets. Heavy lift resources are required, the 366th Wing can also call on the U.S. Air Force's latest strategic transport, the C-17. The C-17 has a state-of-the-art cockpit with 4 multifunction displays and a heads-up unit display for each pilot. There are just 2 pilots and a loadmaster in the cabin. Flight control is effected via a fly-by-wire system, and the pilots have a control column rather than a conventional yoke. The C-17 entered service with the Air Mobility Command in 1995 and is designed to combine strategic airlift with the ability to deliver its payload tactically. This includes ultra-low-level parachute extraction of its cargo and operation from short, unprepared airstrips. The C-17 can be configured to carry cargo, paratroopers, combat troops, medical litters, or combinations of all of these, up to a maximum payload of 78 tons. It can carry all U.S. Army main battle tanks, armored personnel carriers, trucks, and helicopters. A load of around 60 tons is more normal, typically including 200 paratroopers, 4 Black Hawk helicopters, or a single Abrams battle tank. For decades, the U.S. Air Force's structure encompassed 3 major commands. Recent major refurbishment has arguably made it leaner and fitter. Air Combat Command, the fighting component, was formed to be a quick reaction strike force. And forming the tip of this rapid reaction force are its super wings. Exemplified by the first and biggest super wing, the 366th Wing at Mountain Home. Each is practically an Air Force within an Air Force. They bring together aircraft of disparate types, bombers, fighters, strike aircraft, into one cohesive fighting unit. These remain ready to deploy rapidly and use air power decisively, wherever it may be needed, at whatever level of intensity required.